Hello viewers, I'm back with another video and today we are going to continue our book Shoo, Caveflies, the 14th edition in the Cave Mice. So let's begin today from chapter 5. Do you want to see my previous video for chapter 1 to 4? The link is in the description. So let's begin. Chapter 5. Nurse, nurse. Ask Rotten Sally Rockmousen for help? I felt sick just thinking about it. Still, someone needed to get trapped that antidote and Sally was our only hope. My sister agreed. Well, we are in the right place, she said. Last night I heard a Nebosaurus stole Sally's purse. She hurt her paw chasing after him and she's in the hospital. Great, let's go find her, Pickaxe suggested. In fact, Sally was lying on a rock bed in the room next door. Her stomach was swollen and her fur was covered in green spots. How strange! When she saw all of us enter the room, her eyes widened in surprise. Then she began to shout, "What are you doing here? I didn't invite you. Nurse, nurse!" Pickaxe put a paw over Sally's mouth before she could make too much noise. "Shh!" he whispered. "We need your help with something really important." "Pickaxe?" Sally exclaimed. "Why did you bring these fools? Don't you know that Geronimo Stilton is the worst journalist in all of prehistory?" Pickaxe explained about Trap, the snoozer fly, the Stone Age slumber, and the antidote from the portrait PU flower. Sally rolled her eyes. "Why should I help?" she screeched. "I would rather get mauled by a deranged saber-toothed tiger than help Geronimo." "Please, Sally," Pickaxe pleaded. "We only have 3 days to find that flower." Eventually, Sally agreed. But naturally, she wanted something in return. "You should never do a favor for free, right?" she chuckled. I was trying to point out to Sally that favors should actually always be free, but I figured that would just annoy her, so I chewed my whiskers and kept quiet. "I want the exclusive news story about the discovery of the portrait PU flower," Sally demanded, "and most of all, I want to get out of here and come with you." Thea shook her head. "The doctors will never let you leave," she reasoned. "And by the way, how did you end up swollen and covered in spots? I thought you hurt your paw while chasing a Nebosaurus." Sally smirked. "That's the news I spread around. The truth is, I ate a rotten Jurassic watermelon and well, I blew up." "I have got it," Pickaxe announced. He rummaged through his pockets. First, he pulled out a small shovel, then a bird trimmer, then a prehistoric bowling ball. How did he fit it all in there? Finally, he produced a small red pepper. "This is a special red pepper from the Firelands," he explained. "It's a proven remedy that will cure the effects of a rotten Jurassic watermelon." He pointed to Sally. "Go ahead, Sally," he said encouragingly. "Eat it." Sally made a disgusted face. "Sally, it's the only way to cure you and get out of here," said Pickaxe. She took the pepper and ate it. "Everyone under the bed," Pickaxe ordered quickly. Soon we found out why. Sally's eyes shot open and she began to bounce from one wall to the other like a deflating balloon. Psst. As she was deflating, she banged into everything she came in contact with. Thump, bump, crack. In the end, Sally landed on the bed. She returned to her usual size and the green spots had disappeared completely. "You should have warned me that would happen, Chatterface," Sally said. The doctors were stunned by Sally's recovery. They ran tests and scratched their snouts in confusion. They finally gave her permission to leave the hospital. Too bad, Sally hadn't lost her rotten personality along with the green spots. Chapter 6. What a Paleozoic Princess. Once we left the hospital, Sally gave us directions. "First, we need to cross the desert," she said. We began our trek under the sizzling sun. As soon as we began, I got the strangest feeling that someone was following us. I tried to tell the others, but Thea said I was being a fraidy mouse. Meanwhile, Sally complained non-stop. "This air is too hot. This sand is too hot. This wind is too hot." Bones and stones, what a Paleozoic princess. A few minutes later, Sally dug her paws into the sand and declared, "That's it, I'm stopping here." "But you can't stop," wailed Trap. "We only have 3 days to find the antidote. It is the only way I can get rid of this Stone Age slumber. Don't be such a Jurassic whiner. I see only one solution, Sally replied with a shrug. Geronimo will have to carry me the rest of the way. Mouse smashing meteor showers. Why was Sally such an impossible cave mouse? I wanted to tell her to go jump in a hot bubbling volcanic crater, but what could I do? Trap needed my help. And so, with a heavy sigh, I agreed. As Thea, Trap and Pickaxe continued walking, I barely moved a paw step. Sally was seated on top of my backpack and she kept slipping off. When the sun set finally, I nearly wept tears of Jurassic joy. Thank good mouse for some relief from the heat. I was sweating so much, I looked just like Leo Eddistone's latest invention, the water splitter. But now that the sun had gone down, the temperature took a drastic nosedive. Before long, my teeth began chattering. I was freezing. Can't you keep still, Geronimo? Sally complained. I'm going to fall. Eventually, we decided to set up camp for the night. Thea rubbed some flint together to start a fire. Then we sat around the flames and warmed up some tasty Paleolithic cheese. Just as I began to chomp into my dinner, Sally began to whine. This isn't enough cheese for me, she squeaked. I'm going to need more if you want me to help you. Fossilized feta. Sally was such a grumbler. Sighing, I gave her my portion and slipped into my sleeping bag. Pickaxe and Trap immediately fell asleep, but Thea and I were wide awake. The sound of my stomach growling was so loud, it kept us both from getting any shut-eye. Grumble, grumble, growl. Sally couldn't sleep either. I must have eaten too much cheese. She squeaked. I know, why don't you two sing me a lullaby? You don't have to, of course, but if I don't get enough sleep, I won't be able to work much tomorrow. Thea and I glared at Sally, but we had no choice, so we began to sing. Rock-a-bye, Mousie, on the tree top. Then in the middle of the serenade, someone popped up from the desert sand. It was Tiger Khan. Two other saber-toothed tigers from the nasty band of felines sidled up beside him. Tell me the remedy for this Stone Age slumber. Tiger Khan roared at Sally. Sally began whistling nervously. Then she coughed. I have no idea what you are talking about, she muttered. I don't know what kind of flower you are talking about. Aha! Tiger Khan shrieked. You said something about a flower, so you do know about the remedy. But before the tigers could grab Sally, a strong wind blew them away. Sandstorm! Pickaxe yelled. Chapter 7. Whoosh! We slipped into our sleeping bags, but the storm was really strong and incredibly scary. Stay calm, Pickaxe reassured us. It will pass. But when will it stop? I asked, my teeth chattering. Oh, it should probably be over in zzz. Fossilized feta. As usual, Pickaxe has fallen asleep at the worst time. In the end, the storm calmed down and we all fell asleep. This time, we slept like petrified logs. We were wiped out. At dawn, we woke up. Our whiskers were covered in sand. Uh-oh, Trap squeaked. Look at that. My heart began to race. Was it Tiger Khan? A T-Rex? I turned to discover a giant dune blocking our way. How would I ever be able to climb up that monstrous mountain? Maybe you all should go ahead, I suggested. Forget it, Jerrykins. My sisters nodded. We are all going together. Now, come on. And so, huffing and puffing, I began the megalithic climb. Back-breaking boulders. It was exhausting. Eventually, we made it to the top. Then, before we could celebrate, we were hit with another sandstorm. Whoosh! We hid in our sleeping bags. The good news was the storm passed quickly. The bad news was it left a new sand mountain bigger than the last one. Petrified permission. Why do these things have always happened to me? Come on, Stilton, don't be a wet swap noodle. Sally spat. We need to get moving if you want to find that flower. I started climbing. I climbed and climbed. When I arrived at the top, my tongue was hanging from my mouth like a prehistoric vine. Well, that's it for me, I announced. I'm going to take a nice little nap now. But are you squeaking about Geronimo? Pickaxe asked. This is the fun part. We are done with climbing. Now we get to roll down the mountain. And with that, he curled into a ball and threw himself down the dune. Yahoo! He yelled as he rolled faster and faster. Follow me, mice! Trap went next, followed by Sally. Thea stared at me. Well, what are you waiting for, Jerrykins? She asked. I gulped, pointing at all the rocks, thorny bushes, and Paleolithic cacti below. I don't want to roll into that, I cried. So many Stone Age excuses, Thea exclaimed, giving me a shove. Just go. Goodbye, cave mouse world, I wailed as I began to roll. To my shock, somehow I managed to avoid the sharp stones and pointy branches. I even dodged 2 cacti, 6 blackberry bushes, and a super poisonous desert scorpion. When I arrived at the bottom, I was all in one piece without a single scratch on me. Bones and stones, what luck! When I looked around, I gasped. In front of me was an oasis. I saw trees, flowers, and a cool, clear lake. Holy boulders! It was incredible. I jumped into the lake and whomp! I ended up with my snout in the sand. That was no oasis. It was a mirage. Chapter 8. It's just a mirage. Now, I don't know if you know, and if you don't know, I'll tell you. But in the desert, it's easy to find mirages. The hot air, the scorching sand, and the burning sun can create optical illusions that make a mouse see things like water when there's really only sand. After my lake mistake, I began walking again. Then it happened a second time. A lavish feast fit for reality appeared before me. I saw tasty cheeses, cold drinks, and juicy, colorful fruits. I threw myself at the table of treats. Instantly, the table disappeared. Rats! Sally snorted with laughter. Ha ha ha! She cackled. Stilton, you're a mess. I ignored her. Only the rotten Sally Rockmousin would kick a mouse when he's already down. As I trudged along, I continued to see mirages. First I saw a pot of volcanic fond. Next I saw a mammoth milkshake. I did my best to resist the urge to taste each treat. Oh, how I hated mirages. We climbed up a tall dune and down the other side. At the bottom, I spotted another oasis, complete with a lake and lots of green vegetation. Oh no, I'm not falling for this again. I told myself it's just a mirage. But right then, I spotted something, or rather someone. I couldn't resist. I spied Clarissa Conjurat, the shaman Bluster's daughter, leaning against a palm tree. It was really her, the rodent of my dreams. She greeted me with a friendly smile and waved her paw. Clarissa, is it really you? I squeaked. I couldn't believe my luck. What are the chances my secret crush would find me in the desert? I ran toward her, paws outstretched until, bonk, I ended up smacking right into a Jurassic palm tree. Bones and stones! It was yet another mirage. When I looked up, I saw that Trap, Thea, Pickaxe, and Sally had reached an oasis. I saw parrots, chickens, and other multicolored birds perched in swaying palm trees. I saw a woolly mammoth and a pterodactyl, happily drinking from a crystal lake. Could it be? As I looked closer, I saw Thea and Pickaxe splashing themselves with water as Sally dipped her paws at one end of the pool. It all looked amazingly real, but I was no fool. I wasn't going to get tricked again. Come on, cuz, Trap said, jumping into the lake. What are you waiting for? Not again, I told myself, closing my eyes. For the love of cheese, these mirages could drive a mouse crazy. At that moment, the most fabulous surprise happened. I was hit by a shower of cold water. My eyes flew open. Sweet sun-warmed Swiss. A woolly mammoth had just doused me with lake water. This place was real after all. I was about to dip my paws into the water. I don't like to jump in all at once. It's much too shocking. Where was I? I was about to dip my paws into the water when a giant pterodactyl grabbed me. He lifted me straight up into the air, shrieking, "Squaw, squaw, squaw!" Bones and stones, I'm afraid of heights. But the bird kept on soaring higher and higher. Then, with one final squaw, he dropped me into the center of the lake. Splash! Holy boulders! What a mouserific plunge! The mammoth stuck his trunk in the water and began blowing bubbles. He was creating the first hot tub of the Stone Age. Have you ever been in one? Let me tell you, it was super relaxing for a while. I even felt like all my troubles were floating away. Of course, it wasn't long before I had to return to reality. So, where is this PU flower? Thea asked Sally, searching some nearby shrubs. The flower isn't here, Sally explained, pointing to a huge hill. It's on top of that mountain. Rats! Not another climb! Since it was almost evening, Pickaxe proposed that we begin the climb at dawn. But tomorrow is the end of the 3 days, Thea objected. Pickaxe nodded but insisted that climbing in the dark would be too dangerous. In the end, we all agreed and set up camp. The mammoth, whose name was Woolbur, and the pterodactyl, who we named Squaw, joined us. The bird rested in a palm tree while the rest of us curled up around Woolbur. Right before I fell asleep, I thought I saw 2 shapes hiding in the shadows. Was it the saber-toothed tigers again? I couldn't say. I was too tired to find out. Within minutes, I was snoring away like a cave saw. Zzz. So, friends, I had a lovely time reading to you. Now, we have completed till chapter 8 and there are only chapter 12. So, in the next video, we are going to complete this book. So, stay tuned, and to get up to date, please subscribe my channel and like this video. Thank you.